Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a black and white flower cane. And now this is going to be for a project tutorial that I'll be showing in the near future, and it's going to include this black and white flower cane, and it is also going to include my dragon scale mica shift. So what you're going to need is you are going to need a skinner blend plug, and I've shown a tutorial on this already. You're also going to need a skinner blend rolled out on the third thinnest setting of your pasta machine. You'll also need a black and white bullseye cane, but I'll talk more about that later on. For now we're going to need these two. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your petal. So you'll cut a section in your flower cane or your skinner blend plug, so that you now have these open sections. And what we'll do with that is we'll bring this over, and I'm just gonna trim up this end and measure how long it needs to be. We're going to need 3 parts. There we go. Move that aside. And then we're going to take this, and now the trick is, this is going from black to white, and this one also goes from black to white. What you want to do is you want to reverse it, so that when you insert it, it's going from white to black, and your skinner blend plug is going from black to white. So you have a reverse. So you'll open this up and gently insert this. Now this can be a little tricky because it gets sticky. There we go. And then just gently press it against the side and close up so that it looks like that. And then you'll do the exact same on the other sides. Okay, so I've just finished up popping the segments in. Got a little piece of white there that I don't see before. But you can see that now, because of the skinner blends going from light to dark, well, the flower skinner blend is going from dark to light, you'll have a bit of a contrast. And I've just trimmed up the edges so that there's no overhanging bits. Now what we're going to do is we're going to squish it back together into a square shape, and I'm just going to bring over my acrylic roller to do this actually, because we need to now reduce this down until we can cut out about 6 petals. So I'll just use my roller to reduce this, and it's a pretty quick process. Doesn't take too long at all. Oh, and I forgot to mention before, I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention, but I am using Primo today, so in case you were wondering what clay I was using, I'm using Primo. Sorry, I forgot to mention it before. So I'll just continue reducing it just like this until I have a segment long enough to cut out 6 pieces, and then I can show you what we're going to do to create the center of our cane. Okay, and so I've reduced it, and here are the end pieces that we have that I had to cut off. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half. This end's a little bit large compared to that end, so I'll just lengthen that a little bit. Okay, and then we want to cut this into 3. Like that. Okay, so now we have 3 pieces ready to go. So now we can move on to the middle. And so for that we are going to need our bullseye cane. Now what we want to do is we want to cut this into equal segments. So I'll do that across the entire length of my cane. so that I basically just cut it into equal length pieces like that. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to start from, if you're wondering what that noise is, my sisters are playing outside, and so they're having a big game and making a bit of a noise. So I'm just going to wrap that up so that we have a bunch of bullseye canes all put together in no particular manner. And then I'm just going to squish that all together, just like this. And this is what's going to form the center. Now you need to reduce this quite a bit for it to be the center. So I'm just going to do that quickly, and that doesn't take too long. Now all these pieces that we are cutting off as waste, you want to keep those because you can use those in many leftover techniques. So there's very, very little waste in polymer clay, and all of the pieces that are essentially useless for any sort of beads and jewellery and things like that, you can always use those to create your own supplies, such as bead templates or texture stamps. A lot of my really bad leftover clay goes towards texture stamps, and there are many really cool texture stamps that you can make. So there is no waste in polymer clay. And I'll provide a link to some of the textures that I make. Okay, so that's good to go. Now we're going to bring over our flower petals again, and what we're going to do is we're going to round out the top because we want this to be nice and round. And I want to do the round bit first because the bottom I want to be pointy. So we'll just round that out like that, and then we go to the bottom. Now this bit can be a little tricky because you don't really want to flatten out the top, but you kind of need to rest on it. So I almost get into a round shape first, and then I start pinching the bottom because you want these veins to be going towards the center of your flower. And then once you've got it kind of pointed, you can actually just start doing what you do with a triangle, just keep the top nice and round. Like that. And just make sure that this bottom part's nice and pointed so that it can go with the center. And now just chop this off to show you what the shape looks like. So it looks like that. And you'll basically do that with all of the flower petals that you have, and then we put that around our center. Now the center we might need to reduce a little bit more as well. Okay, so I've done one half of the flower here. Now we're going to do the other half using the petals that we made. So first you want to piece these petals together like so. Okay, then you want to pop them onto your tile and then mold them together so that they sit flat. Like that. Then you'll bring over a skewer and you'll just gently create a groove down the middle. Like that. And then take it back to your tile and gently round it off again. So now we've got two bits, and that's how big our center is going to be. So I'm just busy piecing this together so that it rounds out nicely before we put anything in. So I'm going to take a piece of this because I can use this in other projects, so I'm only going to take the amount that I think I'm going to need, maybe a little bit more, and then I will reduce that. Okay, just chop off these ends. Just going to stretch it, needs to be smaller still. Okay, I think that will be big enough. Let me just pop that in. Let's see how it fits. Yeah, that will work. Okay. So I'm just going to chop off that piece and that piece, put those to the side, and then fit this in. There you go. That will create a nice center. Okay, now what we need to do is because our leaves are, petals are kind of rounded, we need to fill in these little areas over here. So we're going to give it a fine wrapping of translucent. So I'll bring over the Primo translucent. Okay, so here's a piece of translucent. Now I'm using Primo white translucent, if you were wondering. And Primo translucent will work as well, you don't have to have Primo white. Just the difference is that Primo white, once baked, will give off a blue tint instead of a yellow tint. Well, the Primo translucent will give off a yellow tint. And I explain this more in my translucent clays article, so I'll provide a link to that. Okay, so you'll just reduce it down, and then you will pinch it into a shallow rectangle. Okay, and now this is really a guess and go. So if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, you have to kind of guess at how you need to remold it to make it fit. But this one fits pretty well. So then you'll just squeeze those pieces into place. And you'll just carry on doing that around the entire length of the cane. Okay, so you just mold it like that. Then you'll bring over a piece of translucent again that was rolled through on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. And I'm just going to trim up these edges. And this is a pretty simple flower cane. The round petal variety is a lot simpler than the ones that have the pointed petals and things like that. Because the pointed petals you really have to pack in the translucent. This one, it's pretty simple when it comes to just packing the translucent on. Okay. So I'm just trying to get the translucent to fit nicely. Got that little bit that keeps coming off. Okay. And then you just want to squish that translucent on. And that should help keep those flower petals shape. And then you just want to gradually reduce this. And this is the slow, tedious part. Because you don't want to end up with too much waste on the ends. You can use it, but you don't want to make waste that you could have avoided. So I like to pinch the ends like so, and then I'll do the same on the other side, pushing outward. And that will get most of the distortion that's going to happen. I'll just cut that and put that aside, and now I can reduce like normal. So I'll just roll to get it back into a round shape and then gradually start reducing. And now you could spend more time packing in the translucent to get that flower petal shape perfect, but because I'm going to be using this really small, it's not like I'm going to make a bead like that where you can see the flower in a lot of detail. I'm going to be making it quite a bit smaller because we're going to use it like that. So if the flower shapes, if the petal shapes at the top aren't exactly perfect, you don't have to worry too much because you're going to be using it in a very small version of itself. If you were going to use it in a larger version, like before I started reducing, then you'd want to spend a lot more time packing it with the translucent, but it means that you use up a lot more translucent, it means you use up a lot more time. And I found that when you're just reducing it to the size that I'm going to reduce it to, you don't really need to take that much time and care because you're not going to see it anyway. You can if you want, but caning can be intimidating as it is, so don't want to make it more intimidating for the sake of it. There we go. So you can barely see that those petals aren't perfect. And I'll do this one as well. Okay, so even at this size you can see that the petals look fairly good, but this is still too large. And this is why I like to work with large amounts of canes, because now I've got lots to use, and so I can reduce this into multiple sizes. I'm going to reduce it into the largest size I'm going to want, which I'm almost at, and then within a day or two I will reduce it down into the different sizes. So I've done a how to reduce your canes video already, and in that video I show what I do with my canes to reduce them, and I show how many sizes I reduce them into. So it's always good to do that. Okay, so now I want to just chop off these ends to make it nice and neat, and there's what the flower looks like. It's really nice, I'm quite happy with it. Chop off that end as well, and then we'll bring over our piece of clay that we're going to put it with. It's going to look quite nice, and I think we're going to make a pendant and a pair of earrings. I'll have to think about it, but it's going to look quite nice. So I'll bring over the other one as well. Might end up using this one actually. That's quite nice. So that's basically all there is to this cane. It's pretty simple by flower cane standards. It's not the most complex one, but it's pretty easy. It's a good way to practice the techniques that you're going to need for your more complex flower canes, like the reducing and the putting the petals together nicely and things like that. So it's a good cane to start with. So I do hope that that tutorial was helpful to you, and if it was, please do let me know, as that's always helpful to me. And please do check the links below, as there will be links to the tutorials I have suggested in this video, and the articles I have suggested, and anything else I've mentioned. So do check that out. And I'll also have a link to my website, Jessama Tutorials, down there. I have articles, early access to my YouTube videos, and also early access, tutorials that are exclusive to the website that aren't going to get posted on YouTube. So be sure to check back there every now and then just to make sure that you aren't missing anything. I will be posting updates on my Facebook page, Jessama Tutorials, so if you've liked that, then you should be able to keep up to date. And as always, I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.